Yeah, you're frozen now, Brandon. There we go.
Now we got a little Dale going on. It's our intro music, Erik.
Nice.
Lonely night, spiraling, no one that I can call. Parents gone again, I'm so alone. My toes are on the ledge. It's a Friday night, football game.
You know what I mean? What's going on, buddy?
Gotta love it.
I know.
Oh man,
Well,
I'm super happy. I'm super happy that we get to do this because we've been talking about it for a while, and I'm really thankful that you sought out the technology because you know how I am with technology. So
yeah.
thank you for doing
Well,
that.
I just thought, in support of the World Suicide Day today, Erik, we'd just do a little live deal, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I love it. I I don't love that we have to get together on a day like today, but it's good to remember. It's good to talk about it. It's good to get it out there, and we know it's an issue, so it's
mm,
good to chat.
yeah, no kidding, man. I heard that. It's I don't know. I just think like on days like today and what we do and what we stand for anyways, man. I mean, it's a good thing just to have a hour long chat around suicide
Yeah,
awareness and mental health and so on. So, before we get going, for all you out there that are listening, probably two people, probably two, maybe four. But for
yeah.
you four, welcome to another mental health hour, the Bar Podcast. I don't have any sponsors, but brought to you by the United States of America.
Amen.
Amen, man. Yeah. So no, it's fun to
Yeah,
do this. Like I've said to you, and I've said to Clark, and everybody that's kind of hung out with us doing this, man. Like I don't care where we come from and what we do or where we're at or whatever, man. I mean, it's all about kind of just getting content out and doing what we do.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad to have you back, man. You just got back from Indiana. What were you doing out here?
Well, I was out at Rib Fest, the almost 20-year tradition that building a refuge benefited from, and that you have put your blood, sweat, and tears into. And it was a fantastic weekend. Came in for a few days to visit my parents, hang out with my parents, and I spent the next 2 days with you guys. And I sure was blessed. It was fantastic to be just around the crew again. For those of you that don't know, about a year ago, I my family and I made the decision to move out to Colorado. So we're in the mountains now, and it building a refuge is something that Brandon and I created together, and I felt the need to get my family settled out here. And in the recent couple months, Brandon and I have had conversations about possibly getting something started out here in Colorado, and just kind of widening our net, so to say. And um, I think we're going to start implementing that. And this tool is a perfect way to do it because we can bring different perspectives. We can bring different approaches, different things that are going on in our separate communities. And um, I'm just really fortunate to have been back last weekend because it got my juices flowing again. So
Yeah, well,
it
we
was
were
it
we
was great to see you guys.
we were excited to see you, buddy. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun to have you back and just kind of hanging out with everybody. And we, like you said, man, we've been doing this Rib Fest now for this is our 19th year of doing it, and it's crazy. I never
crazy.
thought when we started this thing back in 2006 that we would still be doing it. And for many years we did it for the Hamilton County Kids Coach Program. For many years we did it for the Salvation Army. Um, Lord just kind of had us in his hands and said, we're going to keep you doing it. Because when we moved here from Fishers, we certainly, moving to a townhome, didn't think we would ever be able to host upwards of 700 people in a condo complex. So being able to have
Right.
different areas to be able to do it was really cool. And the first year with the VFW, man, was a huge hit. It's just one of the
Yeah.
events that we always like to do, for veterans, and bring awareness to veteran suicide in that community, because it sure is a big deal, man. And they lose a lot of veterans to suicide every day. The number's 22, but like we were talking on one of the podcasts, we
Yeah.
had Darren Bebo on. He's like, that number is really really low when you think about kind of the the men and women that they lose, to alcoholism or drugs, or
Right.
all the different ways that one can self-medicate to a point where they take their own life. But yeah, man, so it was a lot of fun.
Right.
We ended up raising over
You know what? Well,
$15,000.
one of the
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I love it.
No, yeah,
Give these
I'll
stats.
come back to it. Go ahead.
No, really cool story from the weekend. Last weekend when I was there, I think, I don't know the official time, but I think we served food for 2.5 hours straight.
Oh, for
And
sure.
the line was that long the entire time. And so, cool story. There was a couple guys. I don't know if you were standing around when it happened, but there was a couple guys that I think they had just come to the VFW that day just to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were standing in line, and at the end of the line, your wife and I, Sherry, were standing over there, and these guys were asking, like, what's this all about? And so Sherry and I collectively kind of told them what building a refuge was about, and all of a sudden they jumped out of line and, and came back with 3 buckets of beer for the people who were serving behind in the service line, and they just were blown away by the fact that an organization was out there doing what we're doing. And that gives you a pause for a second. It gives you a sense of pride for a second, but then when you think about it, it's like, why are there not other organizations, out there doing specifically what we're doing? And I'm not saying there aren't in different avenues or different realms. I mean, out here there's a couple groups that do mental health related stuff around fishing and motorcycling and different stuff like that. But the stuff that you're doing in Indy now, with coordinating that with the VFW, and the things that you're doing, and the relationships that you're building, and that cohesiveness, man, you don't build that overnight. And
No.
those guys, I think they were just blown away, because we sat there and talked to them for 15 or 20 minutes, and they were just completely blown away by what was going on, and the number of people, and the people that were there to support it. And I was just it just kind of gave me a minute to kind of reflect on. I mean, we did this thing in 2018, and we thought we were going to do one event, and then all of a sudden it's this, and that's God's hand in what we're doing, and your hard work and what you're doing back in Indy, and hopefully my hard work and what we're going to be doing out here in Colorado. So,
Yeah,
cool
man.
story
I
from the
mean,
weekend.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, it's funny, it's funny how many people, quite frankly, that we touched last 2 weeks ago. Um, like I
Yeah,
was saying, we ended up raising over $15,000 for the day, which was fantastic. And thank you to everybody that donated.
yeah,
And then we also
absolutely.
gave back to the VFW 20% of what we took in. So it worked out to be a little over, was $3,125 that we gave back to the VFW. And then we also kicked
It's
in a little
awesome.
bit extra for the bartenders, that worked their butts off that day, because they
They
were
worked
working,
hard that day
man.
for sure.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's important. It's I get a little humbled, on I don't know. I was just kind of thinking, this morning again, of all the people that we've come into contact with that have lost, people by suicide. And it
yeah,
is, it truly is a day to take a step back and, It's just it's a very awful thing that families have to go through, no matter, who it is within their family, whether it's
Yeah.
a, husband, son, cousin, sibling, whatever it is. I mean, I never could imagine that, sitting here today in 26, I would say that, we've experienced it twice in 10 years. Um, it's just hard to believe, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but it's one of the things. What's crazy, Eric, is that, I think I told you this too. Saturday when we were doing all the pork shoulders and so on and so forth. Um, I got a text in the morning that a good friend of mine from high school had taken his life. And I got a text about 1 o'clock in the afternoon that one of our buddies from church, his brother-in-law's daughter, had taken her own life.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
it's crazy because I'm like, how is it that, we're sitting here doing the event, that we're doing, and then I end up getting a text like that, and two people, and then the other thing, the lady that has done all my tattoo work, Kimberly, so a lot of
Yeah.
it that you see on my arm, I got a text
Yeah.
message from her, man, and I think she saw some of the stuff that we were doing over the weekend, and she let me know that her youngest brother took his life in January. She hadn't told me, but she's going through counseling and stuff like that, and man, it's just, here's the thing, Eric. This is why, like, I have learned through my own counseling and stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna not talk about it, because I think
Sure.
when you talk about it and you open it up, the conversation, you find out that people have gone through it themselves. You know what I mean? And if
Hmm.
that helps a little bit for somebody to, you know what I mean, to open up and have a conversation and know that they're not alone, right? Like, know that they're not alone. Um,
Yeah.
that's the whole goal in what we do. So, um, anyways, man, I
Well, and
mean,
I
yeah,
like to kind of peel that onion back. I don't even mean to interrupt you, but it's like I when I went through what I went through, and I did realize coming out of that I wasn't alone. Like, if like I said, if you want to peel back that onion and go to really what this is all built on, is yours and my faith. um that's what he wants. He wants us to isolate. He wants us to feel like we're alone. He wants us to feel like we're separated from others, and that there's nobody else going through what we're going through. But when you see that hope, and we build that community, and you build that community through transparency, you model that. I try to model that through our stories and what we're doing. When we do that, we build community, and we shed hope as instead of
mm-hmm,
darkness. And that truly is at the heart of what we want to do, and that is to spread that message of hope. And you can bottle it up and package it however you want, right? Like there are some people that don't want to talk about the faith that we have, and that's cool. I'm
yeah,
cool with that. But
yeah,
what you and I both, Clark, all those guys that are involved in our organization, we'll sit right next to you and talk to you about whatever your version of hope is, and we'll help to express the fact that you have a community here, like it's
yeah,
here. But if you want to talk about the faith that we have, we'll sit down and talk to you about it all day long. And it literally is peeling back that onion, and just realizing that, man, that darkness and that crap that you feel when you're in that fog, and you're lost, like
yeah,
that darkness, that can go away, and you can be a part of a community that has been through like struggles. And man, like that is what I felt last weekend.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I got from last weekend, that I have missed for a year.
yeah,
I can jump on your guys' podcasts. I can listen to the podcasts. I talk to you on the phone all the time. You text message me all the time, telling me you love me, and all that stuff. And like I
yeah,
can get that, and I love that, and I feel that. But community is what it's all about, man. And it is so hard. It is so hard to do
keep
that
keep talking, Eric.
with all the. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Keep talking.
It's so hard to do that with the obstacles that are in front of you when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, totally.
And and that and that those the first obstacle that we always talk about, that you and I always talk about based on my story, is how do you get that dude up out of the basement? How do you
Yeah.
get him to come to the events? How do you do that? And that's really what I got from this weekend is, man, you're getting guys out of the basement. You're getting them out there and you're helping them understand what we do. And the only way that we've been able to do that is through community.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Because I mean, those two dudes, I don't even know their names. Like that's how into our conversation we were.
That like
And I don't think they knew.
that came in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't even think I know their name. They know my name because I had my shirt on with my
Yeah,
badge on it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But I don't even remember their names if they told me, because in all honesty, that wasn't the important thing. They learned what we were doing. And
Yeah,
my guess is that at some point in time, they will tell somebody else about what we're doing.
yeah.
Or they're able to say, hey, I went to this thing this weekend, met these guys, saw what they were doing, and like just getting the message out, it builds community and it builds hope. So
Yeah,
I went off
man.
on a
I mean,
soapbox there.
no, I love it though. I mean, because again, we haven't gotten this from you in a while, buddy. I mean, what people don't understand is you've been gone. You know what I mean? Like you've been out in Colorado,
Yeah,
but I hope you see, and I'd love to do this more often. You know what I mean? And maybe pull in some
absolutely.
folks that that you meet out there, right? Because
Yeah,
as we've grown, as a nonprofit, for people that donate money to us, this is one of the benefits of what we do with some of it. We invest back into the organization to have a broader outreach, and
yeah,
having capabilities using software and technology like this, where it now is, like we can be on one platform and it's streaming on Facebook, it's streaming on YouTube, it's streaming on my Facebook page, it's streaming on, everything that we do. And then I can upload everything, to our streaming services with Spotify and Apple and all that. And it's just to get content out, man. I mean, that's what it is.
yeah,
It doesn't have to
yeah,
be, when we hang out at Clark's studio, which I love Clark's studio, Clark's got a certain setup and a brand in his professionalism of what he does at the studio, man. And go check out the podcast because you'll see the difference. Like this live stuff that we do,
yeah.
this live stuff where I'm just hanging in my garage right now, man. You know what I mean? But Eric, it's not
Hmm.
about, we talk a lot about this too, even when we talk about church, right? It's not the box that you sit in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I don't believe that God ever intended us to be in a box, right? Like whatever that box looks like. I think He just
Yep.
intended us for us to do what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? And that's
Yep.
fellowshipping with one another, and we do things a little different at building a refuge. People may agree with it, some may not. And that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's
Yep.
just what I think what we've learned and we know is helpful for guys to be able just to come out where we don't put any expectation on them. I get
Yep.
questioned a lot. I'm sure you have been questioned a lot. It's like, well, what do you do at your meetings? We don't do a lot, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
eat, we eat,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and if somebody does want to share a story, they're more than welcome to do that. You know what I mean? And but they don't have to. There's no expectation that anybody's got to do anything.
Right.
And I think that is what is different about us. You know what I mean? And we also do things like, we said this from the very beginning, like we're going to meet guys where they're at. So it's one of the reasons we meet at breweries, why we meet at a VFW, a Harley Davidson shop, a cigar bar, um, in my garage, wherever, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's why we do things like Heavy Metal for
Yep.
Hope. And we've done different things. We just try, you know what I mean? We just try in the events that we host to be able to bring people out, just to bring awareness to what we do. And like I said, on a day like today, man, I thought, well, I'm going to reach out to you because, it's one of those days that hopefully people take pause. I mean, we've obviously had an awful thing happen in our country today, and it's terrible. But you and I both know that evil, it runs rampant in this world, man. And
Yeah.
I just want to try to focus my best on love and support, and that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like that's just what I want to do.
Well, and that's a that's a difficult thing, you know, especially now. And I'm sure our parents thought the same thing when we were growing up. But like,
Yeah.
the world is just chaotic right now, and the benefit that you and I have had, and some of the guys that are
So
in building a refuge,
do a little podcast.
we've had an amazing mentor and a faith leader that we have been able to kind of, you know, hang with and help. He helps us understand, you know, through Christ, like that whole idea of rest. And you know, on a day like today, when that that word suicide is prevalent, you know,
Yeah.
you can choose to look at it several ways. And I can't say that, you know, this is anything more than recently, but you know, recently it's been an opportunity for me, because there's several other days that, you know, Mental Health Awareness Day, and you know, a lot of different things that come up during the calendar year that help us reflect and help us keep us focused. But what I've been able to do these last few is try to understand that idea of rest, and resting in the fact that you and I and the Building a Refuge organization are trying our darndest to rely on the hope that we know, number one,
Yep.
and number two, to put in the effort, because there is, just like we ask our guys in the meetings, you know, there is a decision that they have to make to put in some effort. You know, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not gonna sit on your couch in your basement and get better with your mental health. You're just not going to.
Right.
You know, and you know, one of the things that we ask that first thing is make a decision to help yourself. And
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the things that you set me, you did a fantastic job of kind of setting me on an even keel. Is, you know, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So when we first started this thing, it was my thing was numbers, 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 numbers. And you were always like, Eric, chill, like chill, just build relationships and it'll happen. And dude, we are almost 8 years later now, and
Yeah.
I sit back on that weekend, and I'm serving freaking ribs for 2.5 hours to people that want to know about our organization.
Yeah.
They want to
Right.
know, they want to know about suicide prevention. They want to know about the hope message that we're trying to convey. Because like I've said a million times, and you said a million times, we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into the fact that we are a suicide prevention, you know, organization. We're a hope organization.
Yeah.
And it
That's
just so
right.
happens today, September 10th,
Yeah.
is Awareness Day. And
Yeah.
so
And
we're, yeah, we're going to
I mean,
celebrate it for what it is.
yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of probably emotion right now, right? Going, today, like I said, with the events that happened today, and then you think about tomorrow, what tomorrow is, and how those
Yep.
events of yesterday really impacted. But you think about all of the, I mean, gosh, man, I think about like even our kids, Eric. Our kids were little. Austin was, he was in third grade, and Cassidy was in kindergarten, and um, they remember that really, really distinctive. Like they really
Yep.
remember it. And so, they, from a mental wellness, mental health perspective, that had such a drastic impact, and it still does. The ripples of that, man, are still going on 20
Oh yeah.
plus years later,
Yep. Yep.
and it just is a real thing, man. I mean, that's just the deal, I mean, you've always heard me say this, man, from a mental wellness perspective, I am, I'm a big one that believes that everybody has a mental health barometer, and that barometer fluctuates day in and day out, and it fluctuates with life
Yep.
happenings, and it fluctuates when you lose loved ones, whether it's, by cancer, or you lose somebody just to old age, like a grandparent, or they've lived their life out, or you lose somebody in a tragic situation, or you lose someone through suicide, or whatever, man. I mean, you lose a dog, you lose a cat, you lose, like loss in somebody's life is very impactful. And
Yep.
so, I just, for us, and I love how you phrase it, man, or how you frame it up, like we're an organization about hope. And that's the truth. We are. Like, that's it. Like, And I tell people like, look, when you look at us, I want people to look at us like, we are building a refuge. It's you're building this bridge to resources, right? We're
Yep.
building, like,
Yep.
every time I come across, somebody new that I have, like, again, one of our very newest, sponsors and partners, man, Evans May Advisory, who we had on one of our podcasts just recently. I mean, we're just blessed, man. Like, it's crazy. Just take a step back, right? But, like, I met Owen, I don't know how many years ago, through the Run Club. And Owen told me, I mean, he was going through a divorce at the time, and we just kind of became buddies, no different than we do here. And he just shared with me, and we got to know his son, and Austin got to know his son. And, he leaned on us in a time of life when he needed somebody to lean on. We weren't
Yeah.
doing anything around building a refuge, Eric. And, so he mentioned to me some time ago, that he was an accountant. And I've always kind of kept it in the back of my mind because, as as we've grown or we've wanted to grow, it's like at some point in time that part of the business will come into play. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. This year has been a different year, and I've just had something pushing me like, hey, you know, maybe it's not a bad time to look for resources around that part of what we do, because we've always
Mm-hmm.
done a really good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I called him and I was like, hey, man, hey, I remember you talking about you being an accountant. This is what we're doing, building a refuge. I think, maybe it's a good time that we sit down and we just talk a little bit, and he goes, I can't even believe you're calling me right now. And I'm like, why? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, man, he goes, I'll just save it for breakfast. I'm like, all right. So him and Steve Blake, who's the CEO, come to breakfast. And long story short, they had started this new firm. They had bought a firm here in town, and Steve's got a progressive kind of mind too, and Steve's got a story himself, and they're actively looking for different types of business partners.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're looking for, we really fit their mold, meaning what our mission is, right?
Yeah.
And basically they said, look, if you help us, we'll help you. We won't charge you for, services. And if you come up against anything with it from a financial perspective or whatever that you guys need guidance on, we'll help you with that. As long as you push, our services out. And when somebody asks about, like, you know, going through struggles or whatever, like I was mentioning before, like building a refuge, building resources, like if somebody's going through a divorce or somebody's going through something or whatever it might be, who knows? And money's a part of it. Just
Mm-hmm.
have them call us. Right? Because they will approach it differently. These guys do approach the
Yeah.
whole situation differently. Like, they gave a really cool story on the podcast, man, about how they helped this lady out. And it's amazing. And it's not just accounting. That's what I wanted to say.
Right.
It's not just accounting. It's not just, okay, I'm going to do your taxes and save you money. It's not just that. It's way more than that. And
Mm-hmm.
just to have that resource, because I told them on, the podcast, I said, you guys, you don't know what a comfort it is to know that you guys are there. If somebody happens to want to give us a large sum of money, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
nervous about it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll just have you guys call Steve and Owen, and we'll just sit down together and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's a partnership, man. And that's what we want. That's what they want. And so I bring it up because, we've been able to develop these partnerships across some really cool partners, like Gimbal Financial, Keith and the team, man, they're amazing.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Getchell brothers, they're another great resource, right? I mean, Everyday GSD, and I'm not just saying these on this to plug people, because these guys are people that we've sat down with. They're bought into us as much as we're bought into them. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a vetting out process that takes place.
Yeah.
And that's just who we are, man. I mean, and I think that is, that's just being authentic to what we do and just being real. And if we screw up, who cares? Just
Well, and I
brush.
think that speaks very well into what I said prior to what you just said, was just resting in the fact, that, and I don't think we really had the knowledge when we started this thing, You know, I just think you had a spirit of, um, for lack of a better term, well, it isn't lack, but contentment. You were
Mm-hmm.
content in the fact that we were helping. I was not. I was, in my mind, I was like, okay, I just went through what I went through. I'm ready to go. Now let's hit the masses. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my whole thing, my whole presentation to you was, let's hit all four corners of Indianapolis. And you're like, dude, we just had an event where 278 guys show up. See, that's how number oriented I am.
Mm-hmm.
278 guys show up to our first weekend. We got our own problem in our own backyard.
Oh yeah.
And you really kind of level set at everything, and you were content with the fact that you were helping one person at a time, and that helped me kind of just relax and rest in that piece of it. And then you go to this next level, and you're sitting there talking about accounting and finances and money. If people know my story, the whole reason I didn't want to do a nonprofit was because of the finances. I didn't want to go out and ask people for money, you know,
It makes sense, but
because of
it
my
makes,
background.
yeah, it makes sense though. You know what I
Yeah, my
mean? Makes
background,
sense. Yeah.
and my, you know, it kept me up at night making sure that we were doing things correctly. Our books were in order. Our All that stuff was in order. Neither one of you, you nor I, we're not accountants. You know,
No.
and so that's what you have been able to bring to this partnership, is that contentment and that rest in the fact that people are going to be put in our path. Like,
Oh yeah.
the more we tell our story, the more that we stick to the fact that our organization is a hope organization, and
Mm-hmm.
that we're just bringing community together. There are people in that community that want to help, and they're talented people, and they're coming our way, and it only helps us to build the kingdom, and it helps us to build that hope message. And
Yeah.
I can't say enough, man. Part of the reason I wanted to come on here was because I just, like, you and I have talked, and like, I know you're going to say no and all this stuff, but uh, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I think it was a good time for me to take a step back a little bit,
Sure.
and allow you to, I think, do what maybe subconsciously I might have been holding back on. And I think what I have been able to witness in this year that I've been gone, and I say gone, I've been
Yeah, yeah,
involved,
yeah. Right.
but the day to day, you and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
at a
yeah.
coffee shop and talking about stuff. You've been able to kind of take this vision that you have in your experiences and kind of grow it to what it is right now. And I think me getting plugged back in, I'm kind of refreshed.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm
Well,
able to kind of,
but Eric, here's the other good thing. Remember, we were talking about this too, man. You were like, one of the concerns that you had was like, hey, if I move out to Colorado, or when I move to Colorado, and if I want to do something out here, can we run it all under the Building a Refuge umbrella, right? Can it be under the umbrella? And that's another thing that Evans May brought to us,
right.
man. He's like, you got a federal tax ID number for a reason. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So, I mean, those are the kind of things, man. And I think what happens, and you and I are both culprit of this, right, man? And I know Clark is the same way, is we want things to happen fast. I mean, we're both, successful people. We both have been in successful careers. We both done things in life, you know what I mean? And that honestly is the way we've been trained. Like, you got to
Right.
run hard, get it done, and then you measure it. Measure it. Where are you at today? Where are you at tomorrow? Where are you at the next day? And it's always got to be doing this, right?
Right.
Well, who cares if it takes a couple steps back? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, who cares if we, like I mentioned before, if we fall down and stumble, or
Yep.
if we try something and it doesn't work? Like, tried. But I say all
Yep.
that because you're right, man. And I mean, and I appreciate that, dude. And I, you know, look, we got people in Wisconsin that want us to come up there and do something. I mean, God love my cousin, and Heath, and I'll just, a lot of times I don't say names on here, but Heath and Bunky and the folks that come and help us, and man, they brand us up there, man. Like, they're always wearing the brand, and this is the brand,
Yeah.
right? This is the shield.
Right. Yeah.
They're always representing, and people up there are always like, hey, what is that? And they're great voices for us because they tell people what we are. And they're
Yeah.
like, man, that is so cool. Like, that's awesome. Like, are you guys going to do something up here? And like I was telling Rusty the other day, and by the way, if y'all are listening in here, I try to do this, take a moment when we do this. If you want to go check out Erik's story, go check out his series. There's 3. But go check out his story on our streaming services. You can find it on Spotify or Apple Music, anything like that, or our YouTube channel. Just type in Building a Refuge. Go check it out. You can check mine out. You can check Clark's story out. We got a lot of really cool guests that we've had on, but specifically us and around us. You know what I mean? And I was getting ready to mention Rusty. Go check his story out too, him and Zach's story, because God knows we would have never predicted that they would have went through what they went through when we sit here and talk about suicide and suicide awareness. So anyways, I was talking to him the other day, and I was telling him, like, because man, like, out of anything, if I could just do this full time, I'd just do this full time. You know what I mean? Like, I would
Yeah.
run and do this full time. And it's okay, because I mentioned a little bit ago too, like, we want things to happen quickly. And God always just reminds us just to be patient. Like, He's got us right where He's at for a reason. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and that's what I have to fall back on, is just to sit and take a deep breath and be like, okay, I'm good. I'll just follow along, because
Yep.
things happen, and that's the way it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, Erik, look, dude, like, I'm glad. Like, when me and Austin did this, we tested this not too long ago. For those that don't know, my son Austin, he's a big part of this as well. And thankful, because he brings some youthfulness to this organization, which is cool. He's got a lot of fun ideas. But anyways, we tested this one day, and I was like, man, well, me and Erik, this is a great avenue for us, man. Like,
Yeah.
trains back, hey, trains back on the tracks, buddy. You know what I mean?
Well, and
Which is,
it's all that timing stuff that you talk about, man.
yeah.
And that, like, and I think our part of our responsibility is, while we're being patient, all these things that, and these places that we're being led, and people who are being brought into our lives,
Mm-hmm.
cultivating those relationships for when that time comes, we're ready. And I think, we each individually define what that time is, and I think you and I are on the same page that if we could do this, for the rest of our lives, we'd do it.
Yeah.
And I think that I firmly do believe that time will come.
It will.
Um, but for right now, we're supporting our families and doing what we're supposed to do as fathers, and as husbands and sons, and we're doing our part. And that's what you've taught me, is just kind of rest in the fact that we're doing our part. We're going to do what we're led to do, and right now that's just spreading that message of hope. And
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I get to do it out here amongst beautiful, beautiful mountains, and hopefully one of these podcasts we can do from way up in the way up in the mountains. So
Man, yeah,
that'll
that would be pretty awesome. Well, we can't. I mean, it's just the deal. We can't. Like, the cool part
yeah,
about this technology, I can go in one room, you can go in another room, and we can still do this. Or we can sit on camera
right,
together, and then we can have guests come in. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and
yeah,
uh, and you can mic things up, and that's what's awesome about technology, man. I mean, and I think we've really, I think in terms of what we have today, with being able to shoot a live podcast like we shoot from the Indie Coffee Roasters coffee shop, um,
hmm,
is really fun. And then we can do this now where people are more mobile and remote. Because here's the thing, Erik, I've been blasting emails off to anybody I can find that would be open and willing to come on from maybe a more recognizable guest, if you will, right? Like, I have no
yeah,
problem being
yeah,
told no. I don't give a shit. Because I do know this. I know that we will find somebody that believes in what we do, and they'll be like, yeah, man, I'll jump on.
yeah,
Like the lead
yeah,
singer from the record company, man. I would have never thought he would have ever said yes to jumping on. And we really, the technology I did that one with was really archaic. You know, it was kind of early
Right.
Zoom. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we made it happen, but that's what this technology is really good for because you know, I mean, now and you can add multiple people. So if, you know, if we want to have some friends join us one night for an open conversation, you know, we can do that, which is cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's all about having content and then we get it out onto a streaming platform, like I said, you know, either Apple or Spotify or whatever, and then it's an audio file, right? And people can go back and listen to it. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it's pretty cool. All my neighbors are like, "Hey, man, what are you doing in there?" It's like, shoot, podcast. What the hell, right?
Brandon, one of the things, when we talk about community and we talk about, spreading the message and all that stuff, one cool story which I think I've kind of alluded to when we've had conversations was, back in 2018 when we first started this thing. I through a fraternity brother of mine, I made a connection with a guy out here in Denver. This is when I lived in Indianapolis in 2018. Made a
Mm-hmm.
connection with him, and he has been running a internet site called Man Therapy, that is very, very successful. And he and I talked periodically, over the next, 4 or 5 years. And I got an opportunity about 2 months ago to go and sit down with him now that I'm out here in Denver. And we got a chance to kind of reminisce about, conversations we've had, how things have grown with building a refuge and with man therapy. And which, by the way, if you've never been on it, you should go through it. It's mantherapy.com. And it's
Yeah,
it's a it's a lighthearted, um, way of looking at things when it comes to men's mental health. And they've got an actor on there who's very involved in men's mental health therapy, but he kind of brings like Ron Burgundy tones to it. And it's awesome, some of the clips and some of the things he does. Well, anyway, I got a chance to sit down with Joe Conrad, who started Man Therapy, when I moved out here, and sat down a couple months ago. And anyway, we got a chance to sit down, and his son-in-law is now running it, and a trip. And we got an opportunity to meet the last few months, at a coffee shop in Boulder. And we just got started talking. He understood my story. He knew I elaborated on quite a bit of it, and he and I just developed a relationship. And so it's not at all what I thought it would be. I thought, maybe there's an opportunity for a business partnership there, and
yeah,
to kind of have some congruency there. But really, what it has come down to is Trip and I just building a relationship.
yeah,
And that there's a few things that have stemmed from that. Obviously a relationship with him, helping. He's a younger guy. He's about your son's age. He's Austin's age. And he just needs a little bit of guidance. And it's humbling to know that I'm able to be a part of that guidance. And then the other thing, they've got a big mental health symposium that's happening in, November, that's going to reach thousands of people. And he's asked me to be a part of that uh, that group, to present some stuff in November. And so it's really humbling to, be able to kind of go back to some of those relationships that we built the seed, planted the seed with, and now it's starting to really flourish. And I think that's kind of the story of building a refuge. Is we've been able to take those relationships that we've cultivated, and eventually we see a fit where it's, a partnership or a mentorship, or something along those lines that helps to assist that message of hope. So it's been kind of cool. Even though I've moved halfway across the country, there's still a lot of tie-ins, to
yeah,
Indianapolis.
yeah.
So
And I think that's what, you know. I mean, that's what's great about, you know, you doing what you do out there, and you know, networking, and that's the cool part about this thing today, man. I mean, even though I'm here, you're there. You know, my cousins are up in Wisconsin. You know, everywhere I go, I have a lot of times an opportunity to talk about, you know, what we do.
right.
And I haven't yet come across anybody that's been like, oh, that sounds like a really weird organization. You know what I mean? Like,
uh,
I don't get it. What do you guys, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I haven't come across anybody yet that's been like, yeah, I don't think that's cool. You guys shouldn't do that, you know?
Right. Well, it's because it
Um,
touches so many.
Well, it does.
It's
Well, and it's funny you say that because I was gonna, in spirit of what we're talking about today, I think we owe it to the audience. I mean, it's pretty wild when you read these statistics. So I'm gonna read this.
mm,
It says an estimated 727,000 people died by suicide in 2021. So that number's only gone up from there. Okay, this is worldwide now, right? Suicide was the third leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds, second for females, third for males. It's pretty interesting, right? Staggering. More than half of the global suicides, 56%, happened before the age of 50 years old. 56%.
mm,
Which, okay, so 46, 44% are post 50.
yeah,
That's even as staggering.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
just, I heard a story from somebody not too long ago that their parent was almost 90 years old and they took their own life.
Hmm.
That, that's a whole other population, Eric, we never even talked about.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I know we've had some guests that are part of building a refuge that would love to come on and talk about like that, that older, the older generation, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's just, I don't know, man. It's shocking to me. So that's pretty wild. And that says the
Yeah.
majority of suicides occur in low and middle income countries, 73%. And then I was reading some more, just statistics around this. You know, a lot of passing by suicide also happens, in kind of third world countries where it is more depressed. Some of
Hmm.
these came from 2024. That this is pretty wild. According to the World Health Organization, 87.5 people per 100,000 of the population take their own life every year in Lesotho. I don't know exactly where that's at. So, but I
Mm.
just think that is like 87 people out of 100,000. I always try to equate this to like sporting events. So if you go to a stadium and there's 100,000 people there, like you go to the big house, right?
Right.
100,000 people, just about almost 100 of those people are going to die by suicide.
That's
It
staggering.
just
That is.
it really it is, man. And I think you and I have just said, you know what, we're going to try to do something. I think
Yep.
you and I are wired the same way, man. I mean, I think you going through your life experience, and I think this is what pushes people, I mean, you going through your life experience and me going through mine, I mean, obviously it's crazy that it brought us back together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that whole deal, like if people really could go listen to the stories. But, the fact that, those life happenings brought us back together, and you and I and along with Mike, had this commonality about like, well, let's just do something, you know. Let's do
Right.
something,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, man. So I
Well, and
mean,
that,
it's
that
just
that's part of that. That's part of that whole adage of making a choice. And we were in a position in life where we were able to make a choice,
yeah.
and it wasn't easy, right?
No.
Man, there was hard. It was a long time coming. We sat at a coffee shop for a year trying to figure this shit out,
Yeah,
and
we still
we
are.
still didn't and we still didn't
Yeah.
have it. We still
I
didn't
mean,
have it.
we still are, man. I mean, like even with some of the events, Eric. I mean, you know me, and when Clark came on, Clark's got some big ideas too, and I do as well, man. I would love to have, excuse me, a music festival that was as big as like Hangout Music Festival or one of these large music festivals. That was a mental health focused
Yeah.
festival. I would love it.
Yep.
I would love it. I can see it. It just takes an extreme amount of money to do it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think we've done some really cool stuff. Like the Rock and Ride for Hope, man, is fun. But I think we're going to scale that back this year too, because I think as you and I talked, even with what we did at Ribfest, we're gonna push some of our resources and funding towards that because I just think
Yeah.
it's got a great platform. And but the Rock and Ride for Hope is a lot of fun, man. I mean, it's a great day. I think going into 2026, we'll still host it at Harley Davidson. We'll still have barbecue like we do, right?
Right.
I don't necessarily know if it'll be an all day event. I think the feedback that we got from people, because I asked people like, hey, if you would change something, what would it be? And they said it's too long of a day, and I get that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with that being said, one of the ideas that I had with that, was really to, find a good partner that maybe we can make a monetary donation to that day, and for the ride we can, ride from point A, being Harley Davidson, to that location, make a donation, make an outreach, and then ride back, have a band, have some food, and then the day's done.
Right.
We
Yep.
still get everything, all the messaging and everything that we do, doing through something like that, and it just kind of is better. And then with the Rib Fest, man, I think we got a lot of buy-in. I think we got a lot of buy-in from the folks at the VFW, the comrades, and the auxiliary. I know I'm an auxiliary member of VFW here in Carmel, but even from some of the social groups in Carmel, we just got some amazing feedback. And
Yeah.
and I would love to see that thing continue to grow. I'm concerned maybe we might outgrow the space, but I don't know. Maybe that's the good part of it. You know what I mean? Eric, I just told this to somebody too, man. The thing that I love about where we're at right now is we can make impacts through these small, these more intimate type events. Like
Hmm.
700 people, dude, is perfect. It's just great because you can talk to people, you can go out and shake their hand and
Yep.
just embrace them. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
they feel what we do. Like you get into a big event, man, like a big music festival where you have 50, 60,000 people there. I just don't know if the message gets to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it does, and it's how you do it. But I love these intimate events, man, and I love that we
Yeah.
can partner and give back. I love being able. It makes me, and I know you and anybody. I tell people this. I'm just the dumb bloke that hands a check over. Okay, like there's so many people that help do this. So
Yeah.
when we hand a check over to somebody, we all have a hand in doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool. That's the cooperative side of it. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
community side of
Yeah.
it. Every person that donates $1 or $20 or $100 or whatever that they donate, you're having a hand in my dumb arm outreaching a check to somebody. Like
Yeah.
that's just the way that I look at it, and that's
Yeah.
a super great feeling. Like that's a really great feeling to have.
Well, and the other great feeling about it is 100% of it goes to what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't
Um,
take
and,
anything,
and
man. No.
yeah, yeah. And I think Brandon, what's cool about this whole model that has developed is we don't need 50,000 people because what like you just mentioned it before was like you've got a willing party in Wisconsin. Obviously, I'm a willing party out here in Denver, and if I somehow get to a point, which I'm confident it will, where I'm holding a rib fest with 700 people out in Fort Collins, Colorado,
Or a
and
or a bratwurst and snowmobile ride.
yes, absolutely, I'm all for that, all for that. And Heath is and those guys up there, they're doing something in lacrosse and
Yeah.
killing it, having cheese curds and shit up there. Like if they're doing their thing up there, then we can do it in these pockets and just grow it organically like we did in the beginning, man. And I
Yeah.
just love it. I love it.
Yeah, and that's what's fun, man. We'll just keep following along and keep doing what we do, and I'm just glad, man, that like I said, we can have you on tonight. From the fine confines of Western Denver, right? Northwestern Denver,
Yes, North Central,
North
North Central.
North
Yeah,
Central
yeah,
Denver. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I got me and Sherry want to definitely get out there, man. We owe it to you guys and owe it to ourselves because I've flown through Denver a million times, but it's just the airport.
yeah.
It's not the
Well, there are two snowmobiles waiting for your ass to be on them. So get out here. We're ready to go.
right. Either
So
that or we can rent some Harleys. You know?
We can do either one you want. We
Yeah.
can do it both.
We
It'd
had,
be
we had a pretty
fantastic.
we had a pretty good time down at the Tres Amigos MC the other day when we had the Hepcats in. Did you see any
I saw
pictures?
that. I
It
saw
was
that. I
it,
saw I saw
it
them
was
all lined up right in front.
yeah, it was Artomobilia, one of the best car shows in the Midwest, and we decided to do our own deal. But people loved it.
That's
We
fantastic.
sold. Well, we did was hot dogs. We sold out, so they loved the hot dogs. You know what I mean? Which is cool. But well, man,
Yeah,
Eric, I
that's
love you,
awesome.
dude. I love you. Thanks
Likewise, bro.
thanks for doing this tonight. We have a ton of resources out there. You can go check that out on our website. But most importantly, if you are struggling, man, as we and Eric always say, 988 is a great resource. It really is. Use it. It's a conversation that you can have with somebody that I think is very, 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 very important. So, and then I think
Yep.
the one that we really like the best, and we'll plug it for Remedy Live anyways, is being able to text Refuge to 494949. That's such a cool one to have. And so, and to all of our veterans, we thank you for your service, and appreciate everything that you've done for us, and we like to give back a little bit. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. We got to do this more often, dude. We got to figure out, just maybe a cadence that, we can do, and have you join more often, just to tee up some discussions. And if you have a guest that wants to join, Eric, let me know, and we'll lock them in. And
Yeah.
these are great. I love these. I don't know if filler is the right word. I don't think so, because I think every piece of content we put out there is important. So I don't know if one is
Yeah.
any less important than the other, because I hope somebody hears this tonight and they know that they're not alone, and they can reach out to us, and we just encourage you to do that. And it's okay to have a shitty day. It's okay to have a shitty day.
Well, and we'll continue that hope message through one story at a time, right? And we'll just
Yep.
we'll see who comes our way.
Yeah, buddy. That sounds good,
Check
man.
my
Well,
Twitter feed,
I
they're making
appreciate
fun
you.
again. Can't show my face, and I can't take the pain.
Dale Speckman,
God, I need a refuge,
Hi, buddy.
someone I can talk to.
Have a good one.
When it seems all hope is gone, so build me a refuge, somewhere I can run to, someplace that feels like home. Build me a
Catch you soon, buddy.
refuge
Until next time.
and restore my hope.
Love you, bud.